Hello, this is Lance from Midwest Air Compressor, and I'm going to give you a walkthrough on what needs to be done when you're servicing a 100 horsepower air compressor. The components should be the same from a 75 horsepower all the way up to one of our 300 horsepower units. It's a little bit different from the videos I released before on the smaller units, a little bit different looks, bigger components, a little bit different on how you got to change the separator and whatnot. So figured I'd make a video to show you the differences, and let's jump right into it. So once you have the unit locked out, tagged out, another thing you need to look for is pressure at your line pressure or on your compressor out. If you can isolate the compressor, great. And I will show you where you need to bleed pressure down from. So this right here is your minimum pressure valve. Once you shut the machine down, the pressure from this valve all the way through this line up to your cooler, through your cooler into your air out is going to be pressurized. If you have any valves after this, or if it goes to a tank, shut off the valve that covers this line. And to change the filter in here, which is called your separator, you need to relieve the pressure from this line all the way to your check valve or the valve that goes to your tank. You need to isolate that pressure, and I'll show you how to do that. There's a few things you can do to relieve that pressure. If you have any unions or anything else like that that connect your compressor to a tank or to your system, you can crack a union, or you can loosen a couple of these bolts on this flange and allow the pressure to bleed through right here. Once the pressure is bled off from this valve and that line is reading zero pressure, you'll also see that on your controller. That'll be your pressure reading over here. That's your line pressure. Once that reads zero, you're going to remove this nut and loosen this nut all the way off. This is your scavenge line. Pull that line all the way out. Most of them are going to have a roof cut like this. You remove this panel so you can slide that line all the way out. You remove this line, pull it to the side, undo this right here, pull this sensor line off, like so. Then when pressure is relieved, you want to remove all four of these nuts and bolts. This gasket right here is crucial. Once you separate these two, you might need to replace this gasket. You can get away with, if it's still in good shape, you can reuse it. You might need to apply some silicone or something to it, but make sure when you do order the separator filter, air filter, or your oil filter, to make sure that we throw a gasket in there with it, because this does rip over time after heat, pressure, everything else, and just being pressed between these two flanges. Once you have that separated, your scavenge line is pulled out, and this line is, you undo all these bolts here, then you lift the lid off, get it out of the machine, change the separator right here. There's a separator under here. There's your drain the oil. Your oil filter is going to be right here. Any of our machines from 75 horsepower and up are going to take this bigger style. It might be a single for 100 horse. Anything bigger, it might have one here and one upside down on top of it. When you are replacing the filters and you're putting new oil in it and everything else like that, make sure the one that's hanging upside down just like this is filled with oil before you reinstall it. Air filter, again, very simple. Pop 3 of these off, pull this cap off, pull your old filter out, slide your new one in, reinstall the clips, air filter's changed. In your maintenance parameters on your controller, there's also grease intervals, and is what you're looking for is the grease circs on the main motor, and I'll show you where those are right now. You're going to have this one right here. This is on your rear bearing. And you're going to have one right here for your front bearing. We've seen a lot of manufacturers that run tubes and they recommend greasing it while the motor is running. And while a lot of plants recommend, or through any type of safety standards, everything, you can't remove doors on equipment while it's running. When it's running, it does evenly coat the bearings more, but Just make sure that you're putting in enough grease at your intervals to save the wear and tear on the main motor bearings, as it's one of the most expensive components of your compressor to replace. When you're doing your service, oil level is also a crucial element to it. The filters themselves do the work, but the oil level does more than just lubricate. It's also the coolant for your machine. So if you're experiencing any type of high temperatures or anything else like that, the first thing you need to check is your oil level. When your unit isn't running, I would say the oil level is in between here. But the crucial part is to check your oil level while it's running. These two red lines are your indicators right here. You want your oil level to be hovering and bouncing in between these two red lines while it's running and making pressure. That is how you check your oil level on our Air Max units. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, any electrical issues, anything else like that, you can reach out to Midwest Air Compressor LLC, and we'd be more than happy to help you diagnose, dig into any issues you have. We are here for support. Again, that's Midwest Air Compressor LLC. We are located in Waupaca, Wisconsin, and you can reach out to us with any concerns that you have about your unit, and we'll walk you through it. I hope this video helps you with any questions or concerns you have and makes your life just a little bit easier. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.